Welcome back to the channel. We have Best of Redditor Updates channel of subreddit rather, and we have my boyfriend doesn't want to marry me because I'm an immigrant, and plus an update. So we get the whole shebang. I'm excited. I 29 female, moved to the US 7 years ago as a grad school student from Indonesia. I met my boyfriend, 30 male, a few months after I moved, and we've been together ever since. My boyfriend is a US citizen. After I graduated, we had a serious discussion about where our relationship was headed, and I made it very clear that I eventually wanted to get married and have children. My boyfriend echoed the sentiments. I remember asking him if he saw that happening with me because I didn't want to be in a relationship with no future. He told me he loves me and that we were definitely headed in that direction. As of last week, we've been dating 7 years. We occasionally talked about marriage, but we were both busy with our respective careers, so the timing didn't seem quite right. However, recently, my company announced that there is a chance my department's work will be outsourced. I'm on an H-1B visa, temporary worker, so this means that I need to start looking for a job ASAP if I want to continue staying in the U.S. Last week, during our anniversary, I brought this up. I asked him if he thought it was the right time to think about getting married, as this will also help with sorting out my visa issues. He looked like he was about to vomit. After much prodding, he confessed that he wasn't planning on us getting married before I was able to get a green card with permanent resident in the U.S. I was incredibly confused because he'd never mentioned this before. His reason was that he didn't want to be used as a visa mule. His words, not mine. By me. And that he wanted to make sure that I married him because I love him and not because it was a ticket to getting to stay in the U.S., which only can happen with a green card. Took me a while to process what he said, and I asked him if he'd be okay to move to Indonesia with me, which he wasn't. I didn't react well and ended up leaving because I couldn't deal with what just happened. I'm still in disbelief. I started dating him because he was the kindest, most thoughtful, and generous man I've met. I now feel like I wasted 7 years. While the visa issues are currently a problem, I did not date him with the intention of making him my safety net. I cannot believe that even after nearly a decade together, he doesn't know what kind of person I am. I feel like this relationship is possibly over and it hurts. It hurts so much. Whew. That is something after 7 years to believe that someone is just in it for a visa. 7 years is nothing to play with. All right, so we have an update. Update says a few days back, I made a post about my boyfriend of 7 years. Didn't want to marry me because I was an immigrant on H-1B, and he didn't want to be a visa mule. I got a lot of wonderful comments and DMs, a few trolls too, but that's expected from Reddit, haha. Because the thread got locked and the post was subsequently removed because I have low karma account, I was unable to respond to anyone. I'm posting this update to do that, plus add in some more things that have transpired since. Okay, let's see what has been cleared up and then what has transpired, because this is something else. All right, so she's addressing some of the stuff in the comments. She says, I've been an H-1B visa for a bit more than 2 years now. I was STEM OPT for about 3 years after grad school. I had terrible luck with the H-1B lottery and got one in the last round I was eligible to apply in. Getting PR is not in the U.S. is not easy, permanent residency. I know people who've been here 15 plus years who are still waiting for theirs. For those of you who DM me calling me a gold digger, you guys made me LOL. I'm aware of the legalities around sponsoring a spouse for a PR, including the financial aspect. It shouldn't have been a problem for the following reasons. Number one, I'm a STEM major who recently shifted into management. I work for a large company and I do quite well for myself. My boyfriend is a teacher and our incomes are not comparable. He earns around $60,000 and I earn close to $300,000. Woo! We've been living together for 6 years. We've shared accounts to pay for expenses like rent, utilities that we both deposit a percentage of our salary in. The rest of our money goes to our own private accounts and we don't manage each other's money. Because I'm pretty frugal, I've saved up quite a bit of money in the form of savings and investments. And my boyfriend was worried about the legality of sponsoring me financially for 10 plus years. I would have happily discussed moving the money around. I was even considering buying a house so we could have made that a joint ownership thing. The point is, we could have figured it out. So she's saying that if he was worried about having enough money to be her sponsor, she would have shifted her money to be under him so that he would look financially lucrative enough to sponsor a permanent resident. Number 4, I might have considered everything, but you have to note that I thought about marriage for a visa thing very recently, only when the threat of possibly having to leave loomed over me. That isn't something I thought about in detail at all. It's just, recent, just came out of nowhere with the company. But she's always been talking about marriage as for her life with him. And he said he felt the same. Anyway, regarding my situation back in Indonesia, I come from a religious conservative family, had a horrible childhood. My family doesn't support my career choices, and so she cut ties with the family. Okay, the update. He is now my ex-boyfriend. Yay! Bravo, as he should be. It took a few days to collect myself and then reach out to him wanting to talk. He agreed. It turns out that he has been insecure about earning less than I did for a while. Apparently, his friends have been poking fun at our relationship, calling me the sugar mommy because I take care of most of the expenses. He never told me this until now. He apparently didn't feel like an equal because our pays differ so much, and started feeling that I was only with him as a quick way to get the PR here. I was speechless. I couldn't believe that his friends gaslit him into doubting his relationship or our relationship. I reminded him of how he supported me when I was in grad school, getting me groceries when she had little money to spare, allowing me to stay with him rent-free in my last year of grad school to help me minimize expenses so I didn't have to take out loans, letting me use his car when I was attending interviews. I told him that he did that. I told him that he did them because he loved me, and me taking on the majority of the household expenses since I started working is my way of paying him back for all the things he did for me back then. He said that he gets what I'm saying, but also that he didn't expect me to start earning more than him straight off the bat. I asked if there was a chance he'd consider going to couples therapy, like some of the commenters suggested, and he declined because he didn't think he was being unreasonable. He said that he wanted to be the provider in a relationship and that he didn't feel like one in ours. So there's no going back from this unless I quit my job and find another that paid less, which isn't going to happen. Well, long story short, we broke up. His family's in disbelief. They were hoping that he would propose soon. I've moved into an Airbnb for now. All right, so she has another update, a little bit of good news to end this update with. My company offered me a similar role in a different department. However, this is based out of France, and there's a small decrease in pay. I've always dreamed of living in Europe and have accepted the offer. I signed the relocation agreement, and I'll be moving in the next 8 to 12 weeks. All right. TLDR, boyfriend was insecure about earning less than me. Boyfriend has now become ex-boyfriend. Company offered a new job in France, leaving the U.S. in 2 to 3 months to start a new life in France. Allons-y. So, we are going to get into the comment section because I had audio issue. This is my second time reading this, so I got to see ahead what was going on. And the comment section takes us into a even more serious conversation, actually, which is crazy and wild to me. But just to say, and then I'll have some thoughts after, off the bat, jealous friends who wishes they were in your position are not people you want to listen to. In fact, I would say don't listen to anyone who you do not want to replace places with. You don't want to switch places with them, probably don't listen to them. I think they were speaking out of jealousy, whether they were male or female friends, because who's sneezing at a $300,000 salary in America right now? Everybody wishes they could either have that or be with someone that has that, especially someone that has it that loves you, that has love for you. Like, what are we doing? What are we talking about? The provider thing. I can empathize with him that is a thing in the patriarchy where that is touted as the correct structure of a relationship. The man first, with most of the resources, and the subjugated woman there to help meet his needs or whatever, and then the kids in the wagon and the pickup truck. I get it, but he was not very forthcoming about that when he told her that he wanted to marry her earlier on in the marriage, knowing that she was going into STEM and that he's a teacher. And then he has another issue, though, with his insecurity, because he's so wrapped up in the dollar amount, and he doesn't realize, as we all contribute to society, we all keep society running in one way or the other, even if it's just entertaining, right? But he has a bigger contribution to society, if you will, as a teacher. So that's a very thankless job. That's a very purposeful job. He's teaching the future children, and so the salary being 60,000 is nothing to sneeze at because he's doing an important job. You know, like even a police officer or a firefighter, yeah, those salaries are not huge, but the work is so purposeful that he doesn't even value his own efforts on in the community and in the country. It's unfortunate. He needs to do a lot of growing up. But let's get into the comments because these comments are rocking, and we have to talk about the comments. Okay. Then we'll get back to old boy, and then the girlfriend. So let's see. So let's go through these. First comment, I'm curious what he told his friends about the breakup. Turned out I was right. She just wanted the PR. She had to move to France because her visa expired. Or, I don't want to be with someone who makes more money than me because I'm too much of a wuss to handle it. Yeah, I bet. I bet that's what he said. I bet he said that he figured it out. She was just after the PR. She just wanted her residency. She wanted nothing to do with him. Even though she stayed and paid all the bills while she's making 300,000, she could have paid somebody for the visa. At this point, she could have paid someone for the residency. I mean, to marry her or all the things. Even platonically, and stayed with boyfriend. But no, she was like, "Oh, we plan to get married." Oh no, okay. Um, this person said, yeah, she just wanted a quick way to establish her permanent residency for 7 years. That's the part that blew my mind. She wanted something quick, so dating a guy for 7 years and wanting to join lives with him fully. Seriously? Yeah. This person says, shit or get off the pot. To the loser guy, he doesn't deserve her. My last ex was the same. I realized he was never serious about marriage. Yeah, they feel no shame at all about future faking you out of your prime marriage, baby making years. Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't call it the prime marriage or baby making years because, we see people do have they wait until the end of their 30s and even into their 40s to have children and to get married. But, operative word being prime, sure. But, it's still possible. But yes, definitely that's a waste of somebody's time for sure. Says disgusting to rob someone of their prime marriage and baby making years. Not only she was dating a loser for the visa scam for 7 years, LOLO, but also she was dating a dude who under-earns her by 6 times and she has to pay for it. That's a pretty terrible deal. At that point, I'd just rather pay him for the paperwork and get it over with. There's plenty of people who would be very happy with it. Yeah, she could have paid for it. All right, let's get into some mess, though. Let's get into some mess because we have some crazy comments. I'm like, where did that come from? What? So let's see. There's someone here. By anal tongue darts is talking about how his wife, is the primary breadwinner and he's happy taking care of his son and things like that. That's a nice story. But let's go here to Sleep Bud. I think that name is appropriate. He says, shit, man. If I could be a house husband, I would 100% do it. I'm such a homebody and would love to cook and clean all day and just chill. No coworkers or nothing. I don't know how dudes aren't appreciative of having a working wife when all they have to do is chill and cook and clean. I was taught my chores early in life, so I know how to properly clean around the home, and my dad has been teaching me to cook for the past couple of years. Cooking is the bomb, and having all day to prepare some fancy-ass dishes that wouldn't be possible to cook on an employed person's schedule, I would be treating my future wife to so much gourmet cuisine, a clean home, clothes, and fancy food. And the next comment says, because that's a problem. And if you don't see what the problem is, God help you. The next person says, I love seeing comments like this in the thread. So many guys would be a great house husband or stay-at-home dads. It's a lot of work to run a household and wrangle kids all day. Men cannot excel at this. They can excel at this just like women can. If people are happier being home, let them. If it works financially, it's awesome to have a house spouse. My husband was on extended medical leave for nearly 2 years. After the first 6 months or so, he felt pretty good, and it was wonderful coming home to dinner in a clean house. I couldn't believe the difference it made in our stress levels. He's older than me, and we joke about how we can't wait for him to retire and be the house husband again. The beginning part of her response is hitting the nail right on the head. She said, I love seeing the comments like this. So many guys would be a great house husband and stay-at-home dad. It's a lot of work to run a household. This man said, he said, I'm such a homebody. I would love to cook and clean all day and just chill. This is what this man thinks that a stay-at-home mom or stay-at-home spouse does. Just cook and clean and then relax. Right? No, sir, that is not what's going on. If you're actually doing the job right, which brings me to, the thought, statistically, maybe, possibly, if this is how men feel about the house spouse's role, they shouldn't do the job because there's like 17,000 other responsibilities that he's missing, like appointment setting, like inventory, like making sure that things are shipped out or received, making sure, and if you have kids, that the school work is done, homework, calling the teachers, calling the doctor, all of the other things. Sometimes you're the chauffeur, all the other things that goes into being the spouse that stays at home. And he reduced it to just cooking and cleaning. I thought that was extremely problematic, and we had to talk about that. And we have another one on that vein. This one says, I'm just a homebody who does his chores, which makes finding a girlfriend actually hard since I don't leave too often except to go grocery shopping or run errands for my parents. Sounds like he lives with his parents. I'm not the most social person, and I just cannot approach girls because I'm sure they just want to grocery shop and not get hit on all the time. Regardless, until the day comes when I meet my future missus and I can be the house husband I want to be, just got to hang in there, finish my university degree, and provide for myself. He said provide for myself. He's looking for a provider. He is looking for a provider. That is wild to me. And there are comments after his about that, but this guy really has reduced what it is to be the house spouse to literally just cooking and cleaning. And God help me, I don't know what his cleaning would look like. But that's an alarm bell for me just in general, because that does make it difficult for women like her who are making $300,000. You still end up having to come home and do a whole bunch of stuff. Not necessarily do you have to cook a meal or even clean the house, but the refrigerator probably hasn't been cleaned, and the oven probably hasn't been cleaned in 6 months. And all of the appointment setting, all of the management and the managerial aspects of managing a home hasn't been done, because the idea is just cook and clean and that's all women do. That is wild to me. So I don't think it's a good idea to have a spouse at home just chilling if it's a man. Anyway, back to their problem. I hope that he is suffering now that she took her $300,000 and walked. I think that there might have been some thoughts of infidelity on his end, because he didn't seem to sound like he was perturbed about her leaving. I know that he expressed that he prefers a more financially struggling woman, because that will make him feel better in a relationship. That's a frightening thought process, that men like that prefer that a woman is financially unstable or financially insecure, and that's the ideal relationship. That, and we know what that whole thing is. That's where we get these passport bros from. They cannot stand the idea of a woman who is financially stable and financially secure, because to them, an ideal relationship is that he has most or all of the resources and she stays in a financially dependent state, because they know they're such crap that she'll leave him, and easily and easier, if she has her own money. So that's where that's coming from, because you know that you're a doofus and you will not be a great partner. So you cannot tolerate a partner who has her own money that can say, you know what, this isn't working for me, goodbye. You want a poor woman that will be trapped, literally trapped in a relationship with you. And that's your idea. That's your ideal of a loving, wonderful relationship. Gross. Absolutely gross. So that's what's going on there. And so, what does she do? I think she should stay single. If she wants children, she seems to have the lifestyle where she can afford to have them whenever she wants to without necessarily a relationship. But if she does want a spouse, she's going to either have to find somebody that is secure in themselves, hopefully someone in her own field that makes the same or more. But it's delusional, everybody. It's delusional to think that your spouse will forever be in the same financial state, one way or the other. She was in STEM for a degree. Obviously, at some point, she would elevate. And then it's also, kind of bananas to believe that your husband would never get fired or laid off or injured or dead, right? God forbid. So, delusion, crazy. And to string someone along for 7 years is foul. So I hope that he can't afford the rent next month. I hope he looks up and says, uh-oh, the bills are due, and his provider is long gone. That would be his best karma. But anyway, you guys, weigh in. What do you guys think? Am I right? Am I wrong? What do you think about this story? I appreciate your comments, and don't forget to like and subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.